It's 2:13 a.m. The house is quiet. The cursor blinks like a metronome. Somewhere a kettle hisses, counting for you. In 20 seconds, you'll run a test. When I say go, open the exact thing you've been avoiding and type one ugly sentence. Wrong tense, misspellings, doesn't matter. If a task name appeared fast, stay. Second scene. The document is still unopened. Your phone lights your face, your jaw tightens, your stomach pulls like a rope. That tension has been choosing for you. Go. Type the sentence. Breathe once. Feel the slight pressure drop that follows. Results outweigh anxiety. Here's the map we'll use to explore the mind of a master procrastinator through Carl Jung's lens. First, name the shadow motive delay is protecting. Second, use a simple 2 of 3 test to force a choice. Third, trigger tiny switches within 120 seconds of the cue so action happens before negotiation. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's shadow protection. A defense of identity against exposure. We'll name it, test it, and replace its bargain with honest action. You tidy the desk because it feels like progress. You clear the inbox, color code the calendar, rename files so they look obedient. The body loosens a little, the mind applauds itself. But the document that matters is still closed, and the room knows it. Preparation imitates momentum so convincingly that your nervous system caches the reward early. You earn the relief of, I'm getting ready, and the work itself grows heavier by comparison. Run a simple test. If at least 2 of these happen today, you move. 1, prep alone gives you a satisfying hit. 2, elaborate planning softens dread. 3, opening the actual draft spikes a nausea you'd rather not meet. If 2 show up, act now. Open the file before any ritual. Give yourself permission to type a clumsy, graceless paragraph, like stepping into cold water before your thoughts can bargain. Add a timestamp at the top so future you can see the precise moment momentum began. You will want to earn 1 more unit of readiness. Resist that urge. Readiness grows inside movement. This isn't laziness. It's a perfection costume shielding you from a human first pass. In Jung's terms, persona loves tidy staging. The shadow fears exposure. You integrate that split by letting the imperfect lead. Begin badly. Finish honestly. You have the scholarship email, the investor intro, the editor reply. Small doors that open bigger rooms. You refresh the calendar instead. You tell yourself, when I'm in the right headspace. Hours pass doing work that looks important from far away. Up close, it's orbiting the thing you're afraid to touch. Use the same 2 of 3. 1, you avoid opening the message. 2, you tell yourself you're waiting for the mood. 3, you become intensely productive at unrelated tasks. 2 signs mean you act within minutes. Forward the scary email to yourself with a 2-word instruction in the subject line. Draft now, send pitch, attach file, then reply to that thread with a single ugly first sentence or bullet. The point isn't elegance, it's exposure therapy with evidence. Expect the body to protest. That's not a stop signal, it's the doorway. By touching the trigger directly, you trade fantasy control for real movement. Your identity wants to stay unjudged. Your future needs you judged and moving. Choose the future. Results outweigh anxiety. Before you call it procrastination, call it protection. Ask, what is this delay buying me? 3 common currencies appear. The fear of evaluation, the fear of losing specialness once the thing exists, and the fear of incompetence becoming visible. If 2 of those ring true right now, you act before your mind negotiates a prettier story. Write 1 sentence by hand. I allow a bad first draft. Then set a 5-minute timer and type without fixing anything. 5 minutes is not a full attempt. It is a boundary crossing. When the timer ends, decide yes or no to another 5. Keep the choice binary, no spirals of maybe later. Notice the emotional math. Your persona wants to be pristine. Your shadow would rather be true. Individuation is the practice of letting truth outrank image moment by moment. You do not heal avoidance by perfect plans. You heal it by tolerating small ego deaths in public. One flawed paragraph is a tiny funeral for the fantasy of effortless brilliance. Bury it. Then type the next line. Clarity beats pride. Motivation isn't a mood, it's a structure you can tune. Think of it as expectancy times value divided by delay. Expectancy, your felt probability that you can succeed at the next step. Value, the personal meaning or reward attached to finishing. Delay, how far the payoff sits in time. When expectancy or value drops or delay stretches, you stall. Not because you're broken, but because the equation went cold. Tune it in 3 moves. Raise expectancy. Shrink the next step until you are 90% sure you can do it in 10 minutes. Raise value. Link completion to a concrete benefit you care about today. A conversation, a door opened, a relief you can feel. Cut delay. Begin within 120 seconds of the cue, so action outruns argument. Do those 3 and watch the body follow. Avoid the trap of designing perfect systems while the file stays closed. Plans only count when they become behaviors. Keep the step visible, the timer short, and the reward near. You are not waiting for inspiration. You are creating conditions where effort naturally lights. Plans become results. Picture a small room with 2 chairs. In one sits present you, the one who feels today's moods. In the other sits future you, the one who will live with the consequences. Put them in conversation. Present you wants comfort, novelty, and the relief of postponement. Future you wants finished things, open doors, and sleep without background noise. Run a quiet check. First, does present you insist on waiting for the right headspace? Second, does future you carry the bill, stress about deadlines, reputation, or money, while present you stays strangely busy elsewhere? Third, when you plan, does your memory treat planning as if it were doing? If 2 of these are true right now, it's time to move before another negotiation begins. Give the room a simple ritual. Start the task for 10 real minutes. No fixing, no reformatting, just contact. When the 10 minutes end, record a 60-second handoff to future you. What you touched, where you stopped. The very next action if you had 2 more minutes. Send that note to yourself with today's date in the subject. You aren't promising. You're transferring momentum across time. Expect your body to lobby for delay. Thank it for trying to keep you safe, and proceed anyway. This is not a willpower contest. It's a custody agreement for attention. The present gets sensation. The future must get evidence. If you need a sentence to carry into the room, don't negotiate with echo. Echo is the voice that rewards talk as if it were progress. Jung would say individuation happens when the parts sit down and speak plainly. Let the self that wants comfort be heard, then let the self that wants a life decide. Results teach the nervous system what safety actually feels like. You treat relief like a contract. The moment unease climbs to a 4 out of 10, you back away and the body thanks you with a calm exhale. It feels like kindness, but it teaches your nervous system that avoiding the threshold is how safety is earned. Try a different reading. The 4 out of 10 feeling isn't a stop sign, it's the doorway. If you feel it, you've found the exact edge where change begins. Run a quiet check. First, when you step back, does relief arrive instantly? Second, Do you keep scanning for alignment, as if the right mood will cancel discomfort? Third, do you promise to circle back and never specify when? If two of these show up today, move before your mind rewrites the story. Start when unease reaches that 4. Not later, not perfect, just contact. Give the task 12 clean minutes. No polishing. No just checking messages. When the clock ends, walk away on purpose and write one sentence about where you'll start next time. Expect protest. Thank the part of you that's trying to keep things safe, then prove safety by surviving contact. You're not chasing courage. You're building it like callus. Each time you cross the threshold and return intact, the body updates its map. This place is survivable. The habit of stepping back becomes the habit of stepping in. Relief is no longer rented from avoidance. It's earned by momentum. Anxiety marks the doorway. You decide to walk through. You tell yourself postponing is power. By waiting, you feel sovereign. No one rushes you. Nothing owns your attention. Then the ping comes, the calendar flips, and your wait turns into a scramble you didn't choose. Delay that promised freedom quietly mortgages it. Control is not when you start late. Control is when you can start early. Check the pattern. 1. You only begin after a nudge, a deadline, or someone asking. 2. You keep options open so long that none of them become real. 3. Near the finish line, you invent a reason to stop, needs a new frame. I should rebuild the file, maybe a different angle. If 2 are true today, act while the urge to postpone is still warm. Pick the smallest version that can be called done and send it to one person who matters. Not a teaser, not a promise. Something that crosses the line. Choose one irreversible step. Upload the draft, schedule the call, submit the form. Keep the scope ugly and the act final. You'll feel a jolt when you cross it, fear rebranded as aliveness. The fantasy of perfect sovereignty vanishes, replaced by real authorship. You didn't wait to be chosen. You chose. Delay trades sovereignty for panic. Moving early returns the keys. Start sooner than feels impressive. Finish smaller than feels safe. You can always improve what exists. You cannot ship what you keep theoretical. A designer sits on a portfolio at 95% for months. Every week brings a better type scale, a cleaner grid, a smarter case study title. The closer she gets, the louder the voice. It should represent who I truly am. That sentence sounds noble. It's also a trap. If the work must equal identity, finishing threatens identity. Safer to be almost. Hold it against 3 signs. 1. Your tweaks generate pride but not movement. 2. Judgment feels catastrophic because this thing carries your self-worth. 3. Starting something new gives you a euphoric spike that dwarfs the slow, ordinary relief of finishing. If 2 signs light up, you set a near-term gate. Choose one gatekeeper, a hiring manager, an editor, a curator, and ship by a fixed hour today. No one last pass. If there's a typo, there's a typo. If a case study is thin, the conversation will surface it, and that is still movement. After you send, sit with the tremor. Notice how quickly the mind offers replacement fantasies. Rebrand, rebuild, restart. Let them pass. Then write down what shipping changed. 1 door opened, 1 fear survived, 1 lie exposed. Finishing isn't the end of possibility. It is the start of evidence. Identity expands by contact with the world, not by ornamental polish in private. The portfolio represents who you are only when it is seen. Finish to find out who you are next. Ask what the delay is paying for. Often the currency is status without stakes. You remain promising, undervalued, potentially great. Sometimes it buys protection from comparison. No one can measure what doesn't exist. Sometimes it buys control. By keeping output scarce, you choose the terms on which you're seen. Clever strategies, all of them, but they cost the life you want to live. Run the same test. 1. Do you feel a private glow from being not yet discovered? 2. Does the thought of peer comparison make your ribs tighten? 3. Do you ration appearances or releases so attention never outpaces your comfort? If 2 are true, change the currency. Trade secrecy for shared time. Put 15 public minutes on the calendar with a friend or small group. Cameras on, mics off, everyone works. Your output is not the point. Your exposure to contact is. Then schedule a small deliverable to emerge from that window. 1 paragraph sent, 1 figure exported, 1 email replied. Tell the other person, I'll send it by the end of our session. When you keep that promise, notice what doesn't happen. The sky doesn't fall, your worth doesn't vanish, and the imagined committee in your head has nothing to rule on. The shadow keeps its power through isolation and vagueness. Specific, shared time dissolves both. Results beat anxiety, not because fear is gone, but because action makes it irrelevant. You think about the task more when you haven't touched it than after you've moved it an inch. Psychologists have noticed this for a century. Incomplete things tug at working memory, like a tab you can't close. That mental hum isn't punishment, it's a navigation ping. Use it. Instead of negotiating with the hum, route it into closure you can feel. Make 2 closures today. First, a 2-minute closure. Something so small it looks silly. Rename the file to today's date and add 1 sentence at the top about what you'll do next. Second, a 10-minute closure. Open the most avoided section and type without editing until a timer rings. Then stop, even if you feel heat to continue. The point is not heroics. The point is to teach your nervous system that contact lowers noise. Notice how the mind tries to upgrade the plan. If I'm opening it, I should really reorganize the whole thing. Smile at that voice. It confuses closure with reinvention. You're not renovating the house. You're turning on the light. If you complete the 2 closures, the loop quiets. A closed loop returns attention you can spend somewhere better. Sleep, presence, choice. The memory of avoidance gets replaced by the memory of movement. You didn't win by thinking, you won by touching. Plans become results when the loop closes. Imagine a contract you never signed, but have been honoring for years. I remain potential. It sounds protective. No one can judge what doesn't exist, but the fee is daily. While you wait to become your best, you avoid becoming anything. Bring the contract to the desk. Read it aloud. Ask which clause keeps you safe. Admiration without risk? The right to restart forever? The fantasy of being exceptional before you're consistent? Run a quick check. If 2 of these are true, act immediately. You delay because you want to be seen only on your best terms. You fear becoming ordinary if this thing is merely good. You tell yourself you need 1 last skill before beginning. When 2 ring, tear a corner off the contract and replace it with 1 line that names the work of this day. Today I draft the intro. Today I send the pitch. Today I cut the first minute. Then do the smallest action that makes that line true within 10 minutes. You are not destroying a dream. You are exchanging a fantasy for a path. Identity can survive contact. In Jung's language, persona bargains for admiration. The shadow hides the cost. Individuation is paying the cost on purpose. You won't become ordinary by starting. you become real. Ordinary is the bridge you cross on the way to meaningful. If the first step must be impressive, you'll never start. Let victory be embarrassingly small and relentlessly repeatable. 10 seconds of movement beats a perfect hour you never begin. The brain wants a story of transformation. The nervous system wants proof it can cross the threshold and come back alive. Give it proof. Choose one entry move that takes 10 seconds. Type the title line, paste the outline, record the first sentence, export one frame. Set a timer for 9 minutes and 50 seconds after that entry. When it ends, you may stop, guilt-free. This isn't underachieving, it's anti-fragile design. Small victories stack without drama, and drama is what usually eats your stamina. Notice the quiet confidence that grows when you finish a micro-unit daily. You stop auditioning for inspiration and start collecting evidence. You also stop scaring yourself with promises your body can't deliver yet. The point is not to lower standards forever. It's to move standards into sequence. First contact, then consistency, then craft. Power is quiet. It prefers routine to spectacle. If you want to feel proud, count repetitions, not fantasies. Momentum is a trust fund you build 10 seconds at a time. Finishing doesn't only end fear of failure, it begins fear of after. When something ships, eyes arrive, expectations rise, and a new cycle of work appears. You're not scared of the task. You're scared of what the task will summon. That's why you stall at 90%. The remaining 10% includes everything that comes next. Name the after so it stops being a ghost. Write an after plan with 3 lines. 1 boundary you'll keep. No new commitments until Friday. 1 support you'll use. Send draft to A at noon for 1 note. 1 reward you'll actually feel. Walk, call, music, sunlight. Then finish the piece to trigger the plan. Anxiety about after shrinks when the after has structure. Watch for the reflex to inflate the finish line. It needs a new framework. I should learn that tool first. That isn't quality control. It's a stall in formal wear. Quality improves fastest on live material. When you finish and the new obligations appear, meet them with the plan you already wrote. The work doesn't end. It evolves. That's not a flaw in the process. That is the process. Let finishing open the door and meet what walks through it with proportion instead of panic. You don't need certainty about the whole corridor to step into the next room. In room 204, a therapist hears a familiar sentence. It's almost there. The client is an artist with a project that's been almost there for 3 years. Each week, the details improve. Paper stock, color grading, tighter prose. Each week, the distance to finished stays the same. Underneath the polish sits a quiet rule. If it's done, they'll know what I am. The session shifts when they agree on a date that is not symbolic. The last Thursday of this month, 5 p.m., send to 1 gatekeeper. Preparation becomes execution. The artist writes a 1-page brief of exactly what will be sent and what will be left imperfect on purpose. When the hour arrives, hands shake, the email leaves, and nothing explodes. Something else happens. The room gets bigger. A reply lands, not a verdict but a door. Feedback replaces fantasy. The 3-year loop collapses into a week of actual movement. If your project has lived in almost for too long, borrow room 204's rule. Choose a real person and a real hour. Decide in advance which flaws travel with it. Then send. Your nervous system won't like it. It will learn it. You do not become your work by showing it. You discover the next work you're capable of. The world can only collaborate with what you're willing to release. Here's where most master procrastinators either relapse or transform. First surprise. Delay often marks value, not apathy. The task hums in the background precisely because it matters. Treat the hum as a beacon, not a verdict on character. Second surprise. Finishing can feel threatening because it revises identity. Almost preserves a flattering story. Done invites reality. Third surprise. The smallest public stake beats the grandest private vow. A 15-minute shared work window changes behavior more than a perfect plan in solitude. Common mistakes. Treating procrastination as a calendar problem instead of a protection pattern. Praising preparation rituals that never touch the live edge. Shaming yourself for nervous system signals that actually need pacing. Corrective moves are concrete. Choose one irreversible step that crosses the line. Submit the form, send the draft, schedule the call. Write the after plan before you finish, so the next obligations don't spook you. One boundary you'll hold, one support you'll use, one reward you'll feel. Install a co-working window this week. Let visibility replace fantasy control. Ethical edges matter. If arousal spikes and stays above your window of tolerance, shrink the demand and add co-regulation. A steady voice on the line, a walk naming what you see, warmth and water in the room. You're not excusing avoidance. You're sequencing contact so it can be repeated. Individuation isn't bravado, it's truth-telling under tolerable load. Let the part that wants safety be heard, then let the part that wants a life decide. Action teaches the body what safety actually feels like, and evidence, not mood, begins to lead. You've mapped the pattern. You learned that preparation can impersonate progress, that almost is a story that keeps you untouched, and that delay often protects identity more than it protects time. You named the shadow motive and ran a simple filter. When 2 of 3 signs appear, you move. Not later, within 120 seconds. You touched the trigger directly, shipped small, and wrote the after plan so what comes next stopped being a ghost. Keep the verb simple. Notice the cue. Begin badly, close one loop. Hand momentum from present you to future you with a 1-minute note. When the dopamine drops after a push, follow your exit ramp. Evidence lines, 2-minute tidy, next return slot. So you return clear instead of chasing novelty. When the water rises too high, scale down and add company. Your standards don't fall. They take their proper sequence. Safety, contact, consistency, craft. Run the 24-hour switch again to lock this in. Capture 3 avoidance moments and what they cost. Start within 2 minutes on each, even if the start is 10 seconds long. Log 1 result you felt. Sleep quieter, inbox lighter, page less silent. Then tell me the exact sentence you used to cross the threshold. You don't have to become fearless to finish. You only have to move before negotiation rewrites the day. Keep choosing evidence over image, contact over ceremony, returns over promises. Start ugly. Finish honest.